Everybody, welcome to Influencer Chat. I'm Brian.
I'm Ben.
And Ben, we have, as you said right before we started recording, a lot to talk about in these 4 episodes. We have, for some reason, new castmates. We have people being eliminated. We have a lot and not a lot of time for this show to end. Only 4 more episodes. So let's get right into it. What did you think of the 4 episodes as a whole?
I thought there was a lot of good stuff in these episodes. There's certainly a few things that I wasn't that big of a fan of that we can go into. But I think overall, in terms of just pure entertainment, there were a lot of great things. We got Alex/Adam coming in and actually meeting him in his bizarre and uncomfortable arc that is kind of like watching a slow moving train wreck. A lot of things. What are your thoughts on these 4 episodes?
I thought they were very good. I think we need to never add any more people, Ben. This is too much. We've had a net of if you count Ed as one player, then a net of +1, and then if you count them as 2 cast members, we have a net of +2 cast members on this season.
Yeah.
So with 4 episodes left, it's I just hope it's not Opposite World style where we just get rid of a ton of people because we have to.
I think that there will be a double elimination in episode 9 based off of the title of the episode.
Right.
The title of the episode was Instant Blocking, I believe, or whatever. Instant Block, which is the name of the twist from the UK version, where the last place person in the rating was automatically blocked, and then the round proceeded as normal.
Oh, that's a good way to get rid of people, honestly.
So I think in the next round there will be a double elimination.
Okay. So I guess let's start off by talking about our newest boy, Alex/Adam.
Yeah. we saw a 3 to 5 minute intro of him at the very end of episode 4 in our first batch, and kind of gave our predictions and thoughts coming in. What did you think of our introduction to Adam, especially in episode 5, where he was at his fucking peak of insanity and uncomfortableness?
Yeah, he came in real horny for no reason.
On main,
horny on the main in the circle. Don't know how I felt about that. No, none of the girls felt that very much. They didn't appreciate it.
Aroused.
No, oh God. Yeah, man, he should not have been playing as a fake catfish, and he really, if he was going to, maybe should have tried to make the personality just more similar to himself than trying to be I don't even know what he's trying to be, Ben. Can you try to explain to me what he's trying to be?
Yeah, I think that he's basically playing a parody of what he thinks the classic hot guy would be like. I'm not really sure, because nobody acts like that, but even people if you were to act like that, there's no way that people actually legitimately think that you can be successful when you act like that, right?
No, I mean, oh my God, Ben, you'd have to be so hot to pull this off in real life, let alone in the circle.
And I mean, to be fair, the Adam pictures are pretty hot.
Yeah, they're really.
Yeah.
He's whoever he got to be the stand-in's a very good-looking person, but goddamn, dude, I don't even know. I was surprised he didn't leave us in these 4 episodes. I know he was only eligible to be eliminated once, but still.
Yeah, and I mean, he did almost get eliminated in that round. He got really close, got down to the bottom 2, and by the grace of Shuby, he was saved.
Shuby, what are you doing to us, man?
But and I also do think that like there was a way that he could have gone if like Shuby had started in that little interaction, or potentially even if that blocking had gone the way that it normally does, rather than with the twist that they did.
Mm,
So I think that he barely skated by the one round so far that he's been eligible to be eliminated.
right. So I think, well, I guess let's talk about Mercedes slash Karen's elimination first.
Sure. Yeah.
Before,
I think this kind of started with in episode 5 where we got the like by far the best game that they've played,
mm,
in my opinion, all season. I think that you can kind of tell when a game is going to be good when you see the word anonymous, and that's the key
yes,
word.
right.
The hashtag game they played, that was
Mm,
kind of like the start of the writing on the wall for Mercedes.
yep. I do think going back to what we talked about in the first episode of this show, Antonio should not have been allowed to say that he met a catfish. That really put Mercedes in a bad position, because I do feel like a lot of people assumed that he went to see her. So, shit.
Yeah, and then like in the episode after, in episode 4, we did see her do a lot of kind of damage control based
Mm,
off that. And from what we could tell in that episode, it seemed like she was doing a decent job, and that people like Sammy were legitimately thinking that Rebecca might be the catfish.
yeah.
Obviously, Rebecca is also a catfish as well,
Yeah,
but
so they were right.
that's irrelevant. But so it kind of came out of nowhere, at least for me, during the hashtag game, where it seemed like every single person except for Chris
Mm.
was like very convinced that Mercedes was 100% a catfish.
Yeah, there's definitely some footage on the cutting room floor that would have informed us as to why it was so strongly, everyone just calling Mercedes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we also did talk about though last week that there is a little bit of an overemphasis on catching catfish,
Oh, yeah.
where it's not really the end all be all if you like know somebody is a catfish, and
Mm.
it's much more important that that person is like on your side. And so I think that like definitely being called out as a catfish by Antonio, and like that seemingly becoming the general knowledge of the house is not great. But I think that also on top of that, Mercedes has been kind of slipping socially on top of that.
Mm. Yeah, so this round we saw Sammy and Shuby become influencers for the second time each. What do you think of that?
I think that's this influencer selection, and then also Shuby being selected in the next one. We've
Mm.
now seen like Shuby being an influencer in every single round except for the initial like first impressions vote.
Mm.
It is kind of similar to patterns that we're seeing, that I was like hesitant to say might continue in the U.S. version,
Mm.
where there are the same kind of people getting power over and over again. I think that it is interesting that happened, and it might lead to the assumption that there might be more going on under the scenes, where there might be like a kind of a strong trio right now with
Mm.
Shuby, Joey, and Sammy, with kind of like Rebecca and Chris each being like this like hanger on.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, the
uh,
original five
right.
from day one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. Obviously, we saw that in the second twist influencer thing, that we got a feel for that. But yeah, I gotta say, I was a little surprised that Mercedes went, but I did feel that Joey and Miranda were close. Obviously, that was true, um, though not close enough for him to save her, I guess. But it does make sense that it just kind of got down to a point for both of them where it was like, well, Miranda's not really a threat to us. Mercedes, we have these potential doubts, so we're just gonna go for Mercedes this time.
Yeah, but there actually was a point during the influencer chat discussion with Shuby and Sammy where Shuby brings up the idea of kind of dragging Mercedes along as like kind of akin to something like a goat that we would see in Big Brother or
Mm,
Survivor. And that's they end up not going down that road, but that is something that they discuss, and Sammy does like you know at least consider that as an option, and
mm.
she verbalizes that she likes the way that Shuby's seeing the game, and she wants to like kind of think about the game more strategically in that way as well. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's smart. I think it goes back to what we were talking about in the first episode, where with American reality competition shows, they're generally more slanted to strategy, and being cutthroat and doing what you have to do to win. And I think if the show continues on, which I've actually seen it get a surge this last week on a lot of people talking about it on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is good for the show
Yeah,
potentially
same.
being renewed. We might get to a point where people kind of play that meta game where it's like, well, I don't like this person and I want to get them out, but now I know that other people feel the same way as me, so now I want to keep them so that no one
Yeah,
targets me.
it's kind of the idea of like the target getting so big that it disappears, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where like if it's one thing for you to know that somebody like that you want somebody out, but when it becomes like very clear that that's like the general consensus, they become less threatening or like less of a priority. The issue with that, though, in the way the end game of the circle works out, is in a lot of cases it seems so far the person in the end who wins is kind of the person who is the like least threatening, or the person who people think other people will not respect or rate highly, because what people will do is they'll strategically rank the less likable people higher, so
Mm-hmm.
that the likable people they think are competition with them get lower rankings from them, so that they aren't
Gotcha.
like so the average can potentially balance out, and so
Mm-hmm.
if everybody does that, then the least likable person, or like the least threatening person,
Mm-hmm.
can sometimes like accidentally win.
I kind of want to see that happen now.
I mean, I think that that's definitely something we can talk about heading into like our predictions at the end of this for how
Mm-hmm.
this the season's going to shake out. But yeah, so I think that those are definitely two different things that you have to kind of balance in your strategic decision making.
Mm-hmm. And so we saw Karen be eliminated, and she chose to see Chris. What do you think of their interaction?
I thought it was pretty good. Definitely like a nice scene. And I think that it was obvious that she was going to choose Chris. I think Chris was
Mm,
basically her only friend left in the game at that point.
right.
Um, yeah, I mean, what do you think of the way that Mercedes was kind of like rationalizing her gameplay and her decision to be a catfish?
I think I think it's hard. I think there definitely would have been people judging her, judging the book by its cover, if you will.
Right. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing would be like people might see her and be like, oh, she's like a tough, girl. I don't know if she's gonna be like that personable, or I'm gonna be able to relate to her. But I think she
Mm.
showed that she is a pretty personable person and a pretty real person, and it could have been advantageous in hindsight to potentially play as herself. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I think in general there is with the catfish, with like very few exceptions across the UK season and the season, there is kind of a sense that uh, people who are catfishing are trying to combat like the poison of bad first impressions.
Mm,
But I think in a lot of cases, people really overvalue the effect that the first impression can have on like the way that you are able to like establish relationships with people. In a lot of cases, the long-term authenticity of just being yourself in like a very outward, like real way can be much more valuable in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we seen people in, games like Survivor and Big Brother, like, just be seemingly dead in the water week one on first impressions and then kind of climb back up the social ladder in those games?
Mm-hmm.
And even in this game, if you look at someone like Joey, you look at someone like Shuby, you have preconceived notions of Joey as a kind of like douchey bro, as Shuby as like a nerdy guy who maybe can't relate to people, and both of them have really shown that they're, way more than just that first impression. And like you said, the value of authenticity has really paid off for both of them.
Yeah, and then both of them are probably in like some of the best positions to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So like it kind of shows that like if you can accept that people will have a certain first impression of you and work to like build an authentic personality that you put forward to get people to have that first impression be subverted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think honestly that should be a note for a lot of people going out there if they're listening to the show and they're interested in playing this game and they get on. If you think that people are going to judge you, they probably will, because that's just how people are. But if you can just show that you're a real, authentic person, it could carry you very far in this game. And it works out for, I think, viewers too, because I've seen a lot of people being like, I never thought I would like Joey, and he's one of my favorite characters now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was exactly the same. Episode 1, I'm coming in, I see Joey, I'm like, oh, this like douchey Jersey Shore bro guy, like he's gonna like just be super over the top, flirty and annoying. I'm gonna absolutely hate him. And within like episode like 2 to 3, maybe 4, like he was one of my favorite contestants, and at this point I'd be like superbly happy if he won.
Yeah, same. I'd be so down for a Joey win, but we'll see. I guess on that same note of talking about Shuby and Joey, they were able to become influencers for this next round. And this round was crazy, Ben, because just when I think they're starting to whittle down the cast, they add 2 more people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the real issue is less so the number of people that are being added and just the like ratio of people being added to the actual length of the US season in particular.
Yeah.
Because the British seasons were, I believe, 22 and 27 days long, whereas the US show has was only like 15 days. So
well, let me ask, is this the same format as the British Circle in terms of when they're adding people?
Yes, basically, yeah. So the US or the UK version did do a very similar thing to this trivia twist, where they introduced 2 new people who were then like captains of a trivia team.
Right.
So yeah, I think that both UK seasons had a cast of 15 overall, whereas the US cast as a total will now have 13. Include Ed obviously as like one player.
Yeah.
So I think that there is less contestants, but I think from a ratio perspective, there are more contestants being added quicker
per day
in like in a smaller time scale, because the US version is shorter. So I think the solution isn't necessarily to add fewer people if they were to do it into a season 2. I think it's probably just to add more episodes. Like if this was like a 16 episode show and it had the same number of contestants, I think it would be perfect.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And hopefully we can get an extended season for the next show. So give me your thoughts on Sean from New York, who's catfishing as her friend Colleen.
Yeah. I from what I've seen of Sean, which is basically the trivia game, her one-on-one conversation with Chris, and then the end of episode 8. She seems really like sweet and genuine, and I don't really understand the rationale of using the fake pictures, especially like with the message she's trying to put forward. It's kind of like it seems kind of intuitive to me, and then also coming out like the you can if you want to touch upon the like cliffhanger we got at the end of episode 8 where it seems like she's going to reveal
Yeah,
to
let's talk about
like
her
half the
entire
cast.
story because she's gonna be in the next episode at least.
At least, yeah. Probably only the next episode, but we'll see.
Yeah, Sandra says,
um,
"Is this a thing people do? Because I would have never thought anyone who is catfishing would do this on this show."
just like obviously light spoilers for the UK version, but across 2 seasons of the UK, nobody has ever flat out revealed that they were a catfish before. There have been players who have considered doing it, but never actually followed through. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a first where what I believe all of the catfish are given the opportunity to reveal themselves, and so they each have in their like little albums, like they have one album that's real pictures of themselves, and at any point in the game, they're allowed to reveal their true self to any number of players by like revealing one of those real pictures. And it seems like this is the first time this is actually going to be exercised.
And what do you think the ramifications for her game are going to be?
It's kind of a coin flip. Really, like there's the chance that the players like find her like revelation of honesty and her like story inspiring to the point where they might protect her for a round, or maybe she'll be able to kind of sneak into the end game. But there's also the chance that that people will be like, oh, well, you came in, you lied to us, and now you're just like, oh, you think that like saying that you like admitting that you lied like absolves you from lying, or like because the lie has this like kind of noble undertone, like it doesn't matter. But like I don't know you, I know these other people, and from what I know, they haven't lied to me, or at least I don't have any proof that they've lied to me so far. Whereas you're coming out and saying that like one of the main things you've said to me is a lie. So yeah, it could go either way. What do you think is the most likely?
I mean, she's obviously disadvantaged by coming in so late and
Sure,
coming
yeah.
into a, existing dynamic. But on top of that, this is probably the worst thing she could have done, you know, to help her standing, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I've seen games where people think coming out with a secret will help, and it just adds that little bit of like, oh, why'd they lie about that? Can I trust them? Can I do this and that? And it usually never goes well for them.
yeah, no, especially like a catfish secret. If it's like a personal secret, like for instance, in the UK version, there have been like aspects of people's like private life that they've kind of kept hidden, similar to like Sammy coming out and talking about her childhood, etc. But like
Mm-hmm.
that is very different than like, oh, I totally lied. I lied about my relationship status, and I'm using somebody else's pictures. Like those are big lies, which other people in the circle have told, but they've not been caught or like self snitched.
Right, right. So what did we think of Bill?
Yeah, I think that we talked about last week how this cast is like incredibly strong in terms of just like U.S. reality TV in general, especially like modern reality TV. I think that Bill is probably the weakest cast member on the season,
Mm,
but that might just be because we've seen very little of him. He doesn't seem to have brought anything super unique to the cast so far, though. I don't know. What do you think?
yeah, I don't really see why they needed to add this archetype of just like bro white dude, um, especially when you already have someone like Joey, and then especially when they're about to add another broy white dude in Ed.
Yeah, I do like Ed though. From what I've seen so far, I think that, uh, like you said, there are other kind of pieces of this archetype that already exist that aren't Bill that add more, in my opinion. So, but we'll see. Maybe maybe he's able to sneak in. I think that if we're gonna have an instant block though in the next round, Bill's probably the more likely person to come in last
Right.
in the next ranking. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to see a ton more from him, but we'll see.
Yeah, so speaking of Ed, now that I just name dropped him, I will say I'm going to cop to this. I judged Ed super hard from, his first impression. And then I found out that he's an engineer, so at the very least, I can say he's smarter than I am, and much smarter than I gave him credit for based on, the muscles and the broy attitude. How do you think Ed's going to fare, especially where he's playing with his mother?
Yeah, that's a very interesting dynamic. This is not the first time that two players have played together as one player. Two like people have played together as one player, but this is the first time where they've played as one of themselves rather than previously where two players had played together behind one catfish account. And I don't really know how to feel about this. I'm trying to figure out kind of what Tammy is going to bring to the show, other than like kind of tamping down Ed being somebody who is also coming in super horny on main.
Yeah, that's true. Um, it's gonna be interesting. I will say that once I learned more about him, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, maybe she'll be able to kind of temper him and kind of bring him down to earth. But then, like, the more I saw of him, I was like, I'm more interested if he was just playing by himself. What did you think?
Yeah, either him playing by himself or like them playing as a catfish or even as Tammy,
Mm,
especially with the like gender balance right now and the cast being six male profiles and three female profiles,
right.
where one of those three female profiles is actually a guy catfishing as a girl, so there's only
Right.
like two real women in the game.
Mm,
So I think that would have been more interesting if the either had to catfish as some more like neutral character or as playing as Tammy, so that
right.
she could do something else besides like wash the dishes, tell him to like put his dick back in his pants,
Yeah.
and like say emojis over and over again.
Yeah. And how dare she stands where Kevin stood from
Mm-hmm.
Big Brother?
Oh yeah.
How dare
Yep.
she?
Kevin Schleober is the person who said emojis before anyone else.
Mm.
Okay, he's the king. All right.
Oh man, so let's talk a little bit about how this round played out with Shuby and Joey becoming influencers, and poor Joey, he finally is an influencer and gets a pretty raw deal in terms of this twist.
Yeah, we hear about it.
That we do.
Yeah, I mean it's I think the twist is fine. I think it's better that it was public if they're gonna do it like a twist like this, because then it actually like matters.
Yeah, it made it
And
so
I don't think
brutal.
it Yeah, and I don't think it really changed too much in terms of the actual outcome. Um, but it
Right.
is surprising that we see Joey, who has had like kind of an on and off again flirty relationship with Miranda, and
Mm,
Miranda coming out and saying Joey's my number one, putting him number one in her rankings.
mm.
And Joey has two opportunities to save and doesn't save Miranda, who ends up being the one to get blocked.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a potential, or even an unspoken agreement, but more likely a spoken agreement between like the OG players left
Mm-hmm.
that, especially those four that got picked right away, that they are going to stick together. over the new people coming in. And I think if it had been reversed, the picks would have been similar. Um, with everyone being the saved, and when it came down to Miranda and Adam, it would have been Miranda being saved by Joey. But since it was Shuey, he saved Adam.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm curious now if we want to talk about the Miranda visit.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on Joey as a potential winner are? Because I know you said last week that you weren't sold on the idea that Joey could win this game,
mm-hmm.
but here we have Joey coming out of this round, the number one in the ranking, blocking a girl who is just drooling all over him, and then making out with her after he
doesn't save her.
The game.
Yeah, I think he has a great shot to win, personally. Now, these episodes really, like you said, are creating an arc for Joey to win this game.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're on board.
Is that what you think?
I was trying to sell you. I was trying to sell you last week, and I was very surprised that you didn't think that he could win.
I thought he was going to be too flirty and too much, but it really is like he was just in like a showmance, and then his showmance got taken out, and now he's like, all right, well, I'm not going to flirt with anyone else because that was my girl, so now I'm just going to be myself, and everyone seemingly likes Joey.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's not many girls left, but...
That's true. His relationship with Sammy seems way more just like friends,
Right.
He's not trying to flirt with her anymore, and it seems like she is feeling close to Joey as a friend, very much,
Yeah, I think she put Joey second in her ratings, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're very close. I think there is definitely a trio of Shuby, Joey, and Sammy that will probably carry into the finals, and I think that at this point, I can relatively confidently say that one of the three of them is going to win.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anything else you want to talk about in these 4 episodes that we didn't touch on yet, of course?
I'm not sure. I can't really think of anything. What did you think of the other games? I think the other games were relatively quiet. The painting one, the only real drama that came out of that was Bill kind of taking a quiet shot at Adam, and then also Sean seeing the fake picture and having her breakdown, which led to the cliffhanger. What did you think of what do you think of those two things?
I thought they were interesting. I think especially the trivia thing, I don't know if it'll pay off, but in a way to get people in the door and have them have a chance, it helps because there's nothing that bonds people together more than winning. So if you come in as a team captain and pick a winning team, I think that gives people a positive view of you, and it could help, but I just don't think the game's long enough for it to really pay off for Bill too much. Oh no, Sean.
Yeah, no,
Sean won, right?
Yeah, Sean won.
Yeah, sorry, Sean.
And the winning team minus Sean opened up a group chat with Bill.
So yeah, that's where it confused me. It somehow worked out for Bill more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sean didn't even get a video.
Yeah, she was just there. They're like, she's been here for 12 minutes, which I get, but also in my mind, I was like, surely she was in sequester this entire time.
Yeah.
Surely she's not been with her family, the whole time they've been filming, but,
sure.
It is what it is. They got to maintain the illusion of what the show's presenting. But, I think that's all I really have to say about that. I am very interested for these last 4 episodes. If there's one thing I would change, it's adding so many people. Maybe just start with a bigger cast rather than adding so many people. But I don't know, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it. I think that overall, the adding people formula isn't necessarily the worst. I think it can work. I think in season 2 in the British version, it did work a lot better.
Mm,
I do think that was because season 2 was longer, and so it
mm,
gave the newer players more of an opportunity to get a foothold. So I
mm,
think the issue more so is just the like pacing of the game and making sure that like the number of people being added and the pace that they're added and the point in the game where you stop adding people
mm,
is appropriate for the number of days the game goes. And I think that there was like this season did have too much packed into too little.
mm,
And so I think that could be at least something they can tweak into the future rather than like doing a full format change.
mm.
But yeah, I think that's kind of where I said. I also coming into the British show was very iffy about the adding people, the whole idea of adding
Yeah.
people as it goes.
It's just so
Um,
against how we view reality shows here.
right? Yeah, I think that the idea that like everyone should come in on even
Mm,
foothold, and the idea that it's clear that the people added at the very least towards the end, like the Eds and even like the Bills and the Shans,
mm.
really have no realistic shot of winning.
No, none at
Um,
all.
is definitely something that that is not great in terms of like in terms of like creating like a compelling narrative for a
Mm,
winner. And even still, like even if Ed were to win, it's not like super narratively like great either. It's kind of like Chris Underwood esque, where it's like he was
mm.
here for 5 out of 12 episodes.
Right.
Is he like yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
nothing
like
against Ed and Tammy. Obviously,
no,
as
no.
people, they seem really
I'm
cool.
very happy
But
to see more of that. I think that Ed is a great
mm,
casting.
yeah, no, me
Um,
too.
yeah,
But
but just as a narrative for a winner.
yeah. So, is there any, or rather, who do you think, if you had to pick, is your winner pick?
Well, I made a pick in the first time we spoke. My pick last week was Sammy, and I'm going to stick with Sammy. I
Okay.
think that Sammy is still, in my opinion, the most likely winner.
Mm,
She seems to be in a trio with Shuby and Joey. And
mm,
I think coming out of this round, Shuby and Joey are seen as more threatening heading into potential finals
mm,
in 2 or 3 rounds. And she's kind of been like up and down in the rankings
mm.
a lot more. She definitely comes off as less threatening, while also having good relationships with Rebecca and Chris, who I also think are the most likely people to fill
Mm,
out the finals.
right. So, I think I was going to say Sammy if you didn't. So, I'm on board with that. And I figured you were going to say Joey. So, I will say Joey will be my pick just to have a horse in the race, as it were. Just because Shuby's been influenced her so much that people might be like, oh, he's a shoo-in. I got to rank him low if I have a chance of winning.
Yep.
And like you said, I do think there's been a lot of positive momentum for Joey in the show and out of the show. People really seem to be liking him a lot on social media, which is fun. Not what I expected
Yep.
when the show started.
Yeah, and speaking of the audience, there has been, I believe, yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
they released a poll for a America's favorite for $10,000 at
Mm-hmm.
thecirclevote.com. If anybody wants to go and check that out and vote for your favorite player, um,
Yeah, actually,
yeah,
that's a great segue because I'll be voting for Ed. And you know why, Ben?
I can imagine a number of reasons why.
Well, one, I like Ed a lot on the show. He seems like a cool guy. But two, people found a song that he made online, and I reached out to him on Instagram for permission to play out the podcast. Um, so, listen to that, have some fun with it. Go check out his Instagram and video that's going to be in the description and in the podcast information. And the least I can do is vote for him, for the 10,000 thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, uh, I would I think that would be awesome if he won.
Mm,
Momentum he's gonna get coming in so late.
yeah.
But it would be pretty cool if he won. The song is pretty fire. So yeah, go
Yeah.
check that out.
So, Ed, thank you for letting us use this song. Everyone listening, make sure you follow Ed in the various social medias that will link. Make sure you follow Ben. Where, Ben?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ben Sharon, where I tweet about all kinds of stuff, including the Circle.
Awesome. And you can follow me on Twitter at the fake BMR. That's BMA. RR, and of course the channels on Instagram at Wicked Good Everything, on Twitter at WG Everything. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitch on twitch.tv/Wicked Good Everything. And this hopefully will be on iTunes soon at Influencer Chat. But if it's not, it's on pretty much every other podcast service you could possibly imagine. It's not our fault. iTunes is blocking us from their circle.
Yep.
It's messed up.
We thought we were the influencers, but it turns out that Apple is actually the real influencer, and we just won.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and we will see you next week with the winner, which is very exciting. And hopefully we'll see you for another season. If not US, definitely for UK.
For UK season 3.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Later.
They said it couldn't be done. But honestly, who the fuck are they? Sound like a bunch of fucking nerds to me. You want smoke? Then step up. Actually, fuck that. I'm coming for you. Yummy gang. Got your bitch on my dick, watch it slide on my crotch. Finger blast in her ass, while the whole class watch. Hitters in the streets, got that bang bang master. Kidnap your girl, it's the gang bang after. Yummy gang, ying ying ying, fucking really shit. Banging, training, stock, fucking really rich. She be on top, sucking on my dick. Get the yeah, fucking kill a bitch. From the 610, this country hocking with 12 we're popping and jaws is dropping. Gotta find me a bitch to stick my cock in. Like kid, we're rocking, the hoes are slopping. I walk through the doors with a rack in my jacket. Hop up, little bitch, I only like fat chicks. Frat kids wanna talk beef now, I knock they fucking teeth out. Are we talking meat now? Capicola beat down. I study my fucking balls off, blast in your head with a motherfucking sword off. Whip with the top going and the walls off. Snipers with the swords off, I won't call off. You on my block, dog, with no block, dog. Beeping at my rock, dog, you get shot, dog. That's your bitch on my phone, I can hear that thing ring. 12 o'clock on the bikes, hear that fucking yang yang. Got your bitch on my dick, watch it slide on my crotch. Finger blast in her ass, while the whole class watch. Hitters in the streets, got that bang bang master. Kidnap your girl, it's the gang bang after. Yummy gang, ying ying ying, fucking really shit. Banging, training, stock, fucking really rich. She be on top, sucking on my dick. Get the yeah,